The first game in the Legend of Zelda series. This is another big one. The Zelda series is still going strong today. Breath of the Wild is the most recent mainstream game in the series, and it currently has the most units sold in the whole series. I have to stress this before I continue, but the Legend of Zelda series has one of the most passionate fan bases ever. I mean, Mario units sell more, Pokemon definitely sells more, but Legend of Zelda has a sort of like passion behind the fan base that's on par with Smash Brothers sometimes. I mean, people lose their shits over Zelda, man. They love this series, and I can see why. This is one of the greatest game franchises of all time, easily. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's see where this all started and where it all began with the development team before we talk about anything else. The developers of the game are pretty much the same developers for Super Mario Bros. To make things simpler, the group is R&D4, with some new programmers, Yasunari Soejima and Marui. The writers for the game's story are Takashi Tezuka and Keiji Terui. Apparently, Miyamoto wanted to make a game that's main draw was his exploration, daring to go deeper to uncover new secrets and items. Inspiration from his childhood helped come up with the feeling he wanted to give gamers. This game was created more or less alongside Super Mario, so certain ideas from Mario went to Zelda and vice versa. You can almost consider the Legend of Zelda series as the brother to the Mario series. However, they are both completely different experiences. For example, while Super Mario didn't care much about the story, the Legend of Zelda did. So let's talk about that. First off, if you haven't looked through the manual, do yourself a favor and do it. There's some great artwork in there that complements the dialogue so well. Disclaimer, this game came out before I was born, but they don't make manuals with this much thought put into it anymore. Probably because games have built-in tutorials at the start of the game now, and they tell the story throughout the cutscenes, but still, I bet people would still prefer this every now and then. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, the story. So the story of The Legend of Zelda is described in the instruction booklet and during the short prologue which plays after the title screen. A small kingdom in the land of Hyrule is engulfed by chaos when an army led by Ganon, the Prince of Darkness, invaded and stole the Triforce of Power, one part of a magical artifact which alone bestows great strength. In an attempt to prevent him from acquiring the Triforce of Wisdom, Princess Zelda splits it into 8 fragments and hides them in secret underground dungeons. Where's the Triforce of Courage? In our hearts. For now. Before eventually being kidnapped by Ganon, she commands her nursemaid Impa to find someone courageous enough to save the kingdom. While wandering the land, the old woman is surrounded by Ganon's henchmen when a young boy named Link appears and rescues her. Upon hearing Impa's plea, he resolves to save Zelda and sets out to reassemble the scattered fragments of the Triforce of Wisdom, with which Ganon can then be defeated. See, that's like a whole paragraph compared to Super Mario. I like the story. Hyrule is a very typical fantasy land while still being very imaginative. And of course the Triforce will go on to be one of the most famous video game power source artifacts ever. The story and manual did a good job with the idea of Hyrule, but is it fun actually exploring in it? Let's see. First off, this game actually has a save system installed into it, which was pretty cool at the time. I mean, no other game really had this function. This game was probably the first that really made me think, okay, this had to be a home console game. Even Super Mario Bros. Could be beaten in an hour, but this game needed to be played at home. You put your name in and the first screen you see is Link standing in the middle of nowhere with 3 directions he can go and 1 door. You go in the door and an old man gives you your first sword. Why is this important to explain? Because the game could have just started you with a sword already, but it didn't. They gave you as the player the freedom to go in there and find the sword. That alone feels more rewarding than just starting the game off with it. It also tells the player that what they find, they can use. But you don't have to find these things. You can ignore it or miss out on it and still play the game. It'll be harder, but you have the choice. I'll be honest, you might want to download a map because Hyrule is impressively big. Secrets and paths you can take are very abundant. You're not alone on your journey, however. You have many enemies to keep you company. Even more enemies than Super Mario Bros. It's full of enemy variety. It's full of items and weapon variety. At the time, this is truly what it felt like for a game to make you feel like you're going on an adventure, where you as the player get to choose how hard the journey is, or how easy it is, or how well prepared you are for the journey. You truly are the hero to save Hyrule. Any way you can do it. Like the manual said, you have dungeons to go to and claim a piece of the Triforce. And once again, you can choose which dungeon you go into in whatever order you want. The game is nice enough to let you know if you're going into level 8 first, but it won't stop you. You're free to take on the game any way you like. The only dungeon you have to take on in a certain order is the last one, but levels 1 through 8 are completely open to whichever one you want to take on first. Having this much freedom in a game nowadays sounds almost reckless. But, oh wait. Having the game be like this truly doesn't make us as the player feel like the game's taking us on a trip. We are the masters of our own journeys, which in a way is more immersive. Unfortunately, this makes the game pretty challenging if you don't know what order the dungeons are. And if you can't find the secrets throughout the world, Link is incredibly defenseless. In most Zelda games, in my opinion, the hardest part is always the beginning because you have no items, crappy weapons, and very few hearts. And in this game, you feel that strong. I've beaten this game probably 4 or 5 times now, so I somewhat remember where to go and what to do. Also, check out my Twitch streams. I beat the game over there 100%. But anyway, as a rookie, playing this, it is one of the most cryptic, where the f do I go kind of games. Just like the new games, there are walls you can bomb in this game. And these walls are impossible to know unless you've played the game. But Zoin, you must be saying, you must not be looking hard enough for the cracks on the walls. Okay, that's fair. Maybe it's me, right? Here's a screen that has a bombable wall on it. Where on the screen can I bomb the wall? Tell me, I'll wait. You don't know, do you? And if you did, you've probably played this game before. Don't you fucking lie to me. There are also specific bushes you can burn. Can you tell me which one of these bushes we can burn to find a secret? Oh, wait. You can't? Of course you can! They all look the fucking same! From the perspective of someone who hasn't played this game before, you practically need a walkthrough. To be fair, good old Shiggy said he purposefully made it cryptic so that friends could discuss it at school and share what they found with each other. Unfortunately, Shiggy didn't consider if all your friends are just as inept and clueless as you! We all don't know what to do! Someone help us! Okay, now all jokes aside, whenever you do find a secret or a new item from exploring, it is incredibly rewarding and cathartic. You truly feel like an explorer who's going in some untapped territory, finding some new thing to help you play the game easier. That ooh moment you get when you accidentally find a room that's not even on the map that has a bunch of goodies in it. But you're not just an explorer. The combat is simple, in my opinion, not the best, but okay. You can stab your sword in 4 directions. Yes, stab. Link doesn't know how to really use his arm movements that well and swing the sword. And at full health, Link can shoot a sword beam, which I love. The sound effects are great too. In a way, Link's stubby attacks with his sword meant that I actually used my items to fight more enemies than I usually do in Zelda games. So his attack didn't upset me really, as I actually use my other weapons more often. And there are a lot of weapons to choose from. With a variety of weapons, items, dungeons, enemies, there is a lot of content in this game, so we'll be here for a while. Does the music ever start to get old? Nope! The music is amazing once again. The Legend of Zelda theme song, in my humble opinion, is the greatest main theme song to any video game. Every rendition of it is great. It's very catchy and memorable. It's the perfect track to complement this game and Link. The dungeon music is creepy and mysterious, giving you a sense of dread and claustrophobia, unlike the sunny outdoors. And the final dungeon actually has a different track to set the occasion. This track has a slightly quicker tempo, making you almost feel like you're running out of time for some reason. Or maybe they're trying to mimic the panic feeling of your own heartbeat getting faster as you're getting closer and closer to that roaring sound. Either way, it's effective. Speaking of which, let's finally talk about I'm sorry I keep bringing it up, but this is the only other game I have to compare to this one at the moment. But in Super Mario Bros, you pretty much were fighting Bowser the whole time. In this game, you never even see Ganon until the end. You fight his henchmen, Gleeok, Goma, Dodongo, Aquafina, and even more. And I love how each boss has a different way to beat them, utilizing the fact that there are different items and weapons you can get as Link. Meaning, ironically, the bombs are mandatory to beat the game, while the sword isn't. Utilizing the different weapons and items you collect outside and throughout different dungeons, the dungeons also test the player's ability to explore inside of it as well, having already dungeon items as a staple of the series in it, that are indeed mandatory to beat the game. And if you thought the enemies outside were tough, the enemies inside the dungeon are specifically there to make you run back out wishing you didn't take on this journey. The fact that they literally made different enemies for just the inside of dungeons is incredible. You take on hordes of monsters, gangs of Ganon's followers, worst being the Rizrogues. Seriously, look at all this! But some bosses, like Digdogger, can only be beaten with a dungeon item. Sound familiar? That's right, this game honestly didn't change much into the later ones. But once you collect all the Triforce pieces, it's time to head to Ganon, and his dungeon is the most intimidating. It's huge and confusing and filled with Ganon's underlings. You must collect the silver arrows before finding Ganon, as it's the only weapon to kill him. You finally come to the door with the loudest roar in it. Also, PS, can I just say I love the fact that the dungeon boss rooms, you can hear their roars the closer you get to them. That's so good. You get to the room, open the door, and you finally get to see Ganon, who looks imposing. You fight him down as he teleports and cloaks himself in invisibility around the room, throwing hot painful balls of magic at you. You stab at the air, hoping to get him in all the confusion, and oh, it's over. Yeah, for some reason again, the dungeon is challenging, but the final boss isn't. Though I'm not complaining since the dungeon was so challenging. One arrow to the heart and the beast becomes nothing more than a pile of Thanksgiving ham. You find where he's keeping the princess, who, no offense Peach, looks good. She thanks you for saving her and asks you if you like to do it again. And that is The Legend of Zelda. Now I still of course left some things out of the review, because I honestly want you guys to give it a try if you never played it. But if you love The Legend of Zelda today, you might as well see how it all began. This game was an epic that truly showed what the Famicom and NES could do. One of the greatest games of all time. Some aspects like its crypticness might be seen as a flaw, you can't deny that it made an impact on how fun exploring, being creative, and trying something new can be. Which I think is a good lesson for everyone, because just because that cave looks dark and you don't know what's in there or what'll happen when you come out, just be courageous and brave anyway, because you might be happy that you did. And you might find you've become stronger because you dared to venture into scary, unknown territory. Alright, well thank you guys so much for watching all the way through. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment any memories you may have of this game, because I will look through them all and pick a random one to put in the next video at the end. So thank you guys so much. And that last Super Mario Bros video did really well, so if you guys could like share this video around too, that would really be awesome and really help me a lot. And please consider supporting me on Patreon, because I can't do this for a living right now, so I can only make these videos when I can. But if you want more uploads with even better quality, then please consider supporting me on there. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, follow me on my Twitch channel where I actually play these games all the way through. And it was a fun stream too. The next stream is Dragon Quest, which is the next game on the list, which I've never played any of the Dragon Quest games, so that'll be interesting. And please buy yourself a copy of the Blue Rebels. It is on Amazon right now for only $5.99. I put a lot of work into it, and my dream and goal is to make a series out of it someday. So every purchase helps me greatly towards my goal of working with Saturday AM someday. And if you really just want to help, just spread the word about me. That alone helps me a lot. Just telling your friends or family, anyone, your cousin, about my YouTube videos or the Blue Rebels helps me out greatly. And I remember as a kid, I never really could get into The Legend of Zelda because for some reason I thought it looked a little too, I don't know, weird or something, I guess. Even though I grew up playing Sonic, which is a fucking talking anthropomorphic hedgehog, so I don't know. But I gave it a shot. I bought the collector's edition for the GameCube. I remember I asked my mom for Christmas. One Christmas, I asked her for the Anniversary Collection. And I've never played a single Zelda game. I don't even know why I wanted to play it, but for some reason I gave it a shot. And I got lost immediately. And then Adventure of Link kicked my ass. And then I had fun with Ocarina of Time. So, you know, I grew up having to learn the hard way as well, but I ended up looking up a guide and being able to beat Legend of Zelda 1 and 2 and realizing they had their charm too, which now that I'm older, I really can see the charm in those games, so. But tell me your memories down below. But alright, I've talked enough. I make these outros too long. Thank you again for watching. You're all amazing, awesome people. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one, which will be Dragon Quest. But give you baby.